balance the need to maintain desirable neighborhoods with individual property rights? Are there any trends that alarm you? Is there any place you think we are overstepping?
Well, you'd like to say government stay out of everybody's business. That'd be nice to say. But if the person over here disagrees and comes to City Hall and says, you've got to do something about it. Have we overstepped our bounds? We all know what happened last winter. Absolutely, that was wrong. And I wish we would have fixed it the meeting or the meeting before with the snow, but I guess no one wants to deal with that until after an election. Is there a fine need for government to be there? Yes, there is. That's what kind of keeps the neighborhoods a little neighborly. Because what looks good to you, maybe a car on your front lawn leaking oil, is not looking good to the person next to you. Because there is a responsibility of when you move into a community like this, to be a good neighbor. Unfortunately, not everyone's a good neighbor. There's a small percentage that are not, and that's when the phone rings, we get a call, and we need to go out there and say, hey, why are you burning a tire in your fire pit? Put it out. Can you please cut the grass? It's been like that for 3 weeks. You don't want to do it? We'll come out and cut it. The snowfall incident, that was just wrong last year, and I think for us that were up there, at least for myself, this wasn't the plan of action I thought it was going to happen. Our main concern was about some abandoned houses that potentially weren't going to get touched because we were already out there cutting the grass for them because it was 2 feet tall. So have we overstepped our bounds? Yes, we have. I wish we would have fixed it over the last couple of meetings, especially the snow issue. But is there necessary for the government to be there? Absolutely.
What was the question again? It was a long one.
How would you balance the need to maintain desirable neighborhoods with individual property rights? Are there any trends that alarm you? And is there any place you think we are overstepping?
Well, we probably step over our bounds every day. I'm sure government does that. And I think really the way we do it, in my opinion, is variances. And I think really at this time, we may be a little tougher on things. And I think that the resident then needs to use variances, such as, you can build a home 30 feet high. And if we didn't have that in the ordinance, people would be building 35, 40, whatever it would be. So therefore, you need something in the ordinance that specifies 30 feet, and then you have a board that if you want to build it larger, you want to build the oversized garage, that you have an option to come to a citizens forum, because that's what ZBA is, it's people in the community, and you lay out a plan why you need something, and you're granted the variance. I mean, because inherently I do believe in your private, property rights, but you're closed in. We have neighbors, and your lack of maybe taking care of your own property does affect someone else's property rights. It does affect someone else's value on the property. So we have to look into it, and I believe the options are really in the variance area. We come to another committee that's made up by residents, and they give you the variance. We had one yesterday that I don't believe is in driveways, where we're making changes on driveways, and we've legislated that you're not going to have this specific driveway, and that's it. I think that's wrong. I think you got to have some appeal process in order to evaluate some people's property in a different fashion. It shouldn't just be written in stone, and you can't do anything else. I hope that answers it.
One of the things I'd like to see is more emphasis on safety and less emphasis on aesthetics, especially in this economy. A lot of our residents can't afford to do the things that they put out to the ordinance. I'm thinking this one story, somebody told me there's a older woman, a neighbor, this resident told me this, but had a gravel driveway. And she all of a sudden received word that she would have to replace this driveway, can't have a gravel driveway, and to the tune of, I think it was $12,000. And she was a retiree living off of her dead husband's pension. She couldn't afford this, and she was just terrified about losing her house because of this. Is this a safety issue or is this an aesthetic issue? I think we need, especially in this economy, to focus more on what's there for safety, not so much what's there because of aesthetic purposes. However, there is a balance. You don't want to be told what to do with your property, but you also don't want to live next to the house that's driving down your property value. It was across the street from the house that's a nice store, I'm aware of that. I think the best thing to do is focus on safety and develop clear objective criteria, not draconian enforcement, common sense, give notices, let the residents, fix the problem before you come down on them with a fine and make them feel like a criminal. And I think that would go a far way in improving resident-government relations and to make people feel, okay, this is here for my benefit, to help me to make the neighborhood good, not because I'm getting targeted, especially for businesses. I mean, in this economy, you have business coming at you saying, I want to make this improvement on my property, but to do so, you have to put a brick wall behind your property, and otherwise you can't do it. Well, you might be leasing the property. If you have a business owner come in and say, I need to do this so I can stay in business, this economy, we want to be chasing businesses away. We don't want to have that reputation out there. We do not need more vacant storefronts, so especially we need to consider this when considering ordinances and how we enforce them. Thank you.
We all want a nice neighborhood. We do not want our neighbor to have 3-foot weeds growing all over their property, the house all dilapidated. But I think what's most important is consistency and fairness. There are some people, as Candace mentioned, in these times there's business owners, they have businesses in the city, they own a home in the city, and the city says, well, your porch doesn't look very good, you have to tear it out and replace it. Somebody cannot afford to do that. What are they going to do? But on the flip side, I want to give you an example that I've been living with for 10 years. I've had a neighbor, and I'm glad to say this, I've called on him repeatedly, annually, with 6-foot high vines and piles of garbage all across the street from me. He's had a broken down van in his garage or in his driveway for over a year now that somebody lives in. This person empties out his toilet every morning. My neighbors have seen this. He has a hot plate in there. I cannot get anything done about this. But there's an 82-year-old woman who gets a ticket for 2 inches of snow. Another neighbor has a chip on her garage door, a chip of paint gone, and they get a notice that they're going to be fined if they don't repaint the whole thing. We need more understanding. I have no problem making people take care of their property if it's out of hand, but let's be a little more lenient. Let's make sure that it's equal for everybody. Walking around, I've seen some houses that I could not believe. I was like, my goodness, how do they allow this? So we need to be